We can have roll call, please.
Mr. Jeter, District 1.
Here.
Mr. Tipton, District 2. Mr. Compton, District 3.
Here.
Mr. Herron, District 4.
Here.
Mr. Mann, District 5.
Here.
Mr. Hood, District 6.
Here.
Dr. Redwine at large.
Here. Thank you. We have a quorum. We'll move ahead. Item 4 concerns our agenda that's been presented. Are there additions, amendments to the agenda as presented?
We do need to amend the agenda to add item 10B, Clinch River Health Services, letter of support.
All right, that'll be 10B.
With that, I make a motion that we approve the agenda as amended.
All right, Mr. Mann makes a motion we approve as amended. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Herron seconds. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll move ahead with the agenda we have. Thank you. Item 5 is, you've been supplied with a copy of the minutes from our regularly scheduled November 1st meeting. Any changes or additions to those minutes as presented? Hearing none, entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Mr. Compton makes a motion to have a second.
I'll second.
Mr. Jeter seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Minutes will carry. We move to item 6, which is citizens' expression period. That is a period in the meeting when anyone who wishes to address the board may do so. If you wish to speak, we ask you to come to the podium, give us your name, where you're from in the county or what organization you represent, and speak your business. The board may or may not respond to anything you say, but we'll take everything you say into account when we make future decisions. We ask that you keep your comments concise and businesslike. If we have no one who has signed up to speak, then we have no particular order. We just ask that you take turns until you finished your business. Any action to be taken by this board based on or related to something that comes up in citizens' expression period must be taken care of after we close citizens' expression period. To my knowledge, we have no one this morning who has signed up to speak. Again, one other thing, if you're here for an item that's on the agenda farther down the line, then you may wish to wait to speak at that time when that topic comes up. All right? So, with no one who has signed up to speak this morning, we will open citizens' expression period for anyone who wishes to speak.
Somebody got to go first.
I got a couple papers here. One of them's the monthly report and the other one's from the court. Give you a copy of it. I'm John Puckett. I'm a Scott County Sheriff. One thing I'll mention while you're passing that around, give you an update on the range. We do have the range finished at the landfill. It's going good. We put gravels on the parking lot. We got the grass started for the range where you're shooting. We got a yard markers up to where you tell the distance you are shooting on the range. We got a carport put up in the parking lot with 2 picnic tables under it where you can go over the range rules or clean your firearms or whatever when you get through. And we do have a yard barn set up to put our targets, target holders and so forth in. But I don't know of any complaints you got as far as doing shooting or loud noise or anything at the range. Well, we had going on here a month or so ago. Did anybody else get any complaints? Seemed like it's going pretty good, and I appreciate you letting us have the range there. You notice that one of the letters there, I got a letter from a judge, as a dog come in the courtroom one day. And what we got, been trying to secure the courthouse as much as possible. And the only entrance we got right now going in is the front door. So I hired somebody here a year or so ago for part-time and been working 3 days a week, but there's 2 days that nobody was working the front door as far as with a metal detector and so forth, and they brought a dog in when in the courtroom. So judge is upset when you see that letter, but what I'm gonna try to do on that is try to hire somebody a couple days a week. You can hire 2 part-time people a lot cheaper than you can a full-time. And it's hard to find people to work anymore. I mean, it is for me, but I'm gonna try to take the courtroom or the concealed weapon permit fund and use that part of it more to fund somebody to work at the door a couple more days a week if I can. Hopefully that'll solve that problem. And as far as the sheriff's office report for the month of November, dispatch received 5,921 calls. We had responded to 695 of those. We had 23 domestic violence or protective orders served. Got 128 felony warrants served, 56 misdemeanors, 38 drug arrests. If you look at it, this is the first time since I've been sheriff we had no drunk driving charges. Seems like times is changing a lot. 38 drug arrests and no drunk drivers, so you can see the drug of choice. 67 traffic summonses issued, 33 motor vehicle accidents, 437 civil papers served, 93 investigations with 49 of them closed with arrest, 236 man-hours of courtroom security, 16 out-of-state extraditions, 6 in-state transports, 48 concealed gun permits processed, 2 traffic checkpoints, 25 vehicles unlocked, traveled 34,511 miles. Make us stay busy all the time. Anybody got any questions or comments?
Anything for sheriff?
This letter from the judge, what's he wanting? I mean, he's not asking for anything, just to let us know, or what's the?
He's wanting somebody on the door 5 days a week, not just 3. The front door, metal detector.
At the courtroom entrance,
At the courtroom, courthouse entrance.
out there, going to the main lobby.
Yeah. I believe I can do that with the concealed weapon permit if I find somebody to work. It's just hard to find it anymore. It's like my men, they do a lot of extra work, like these mental transports, they do juvenile transports. It's a lot of jobs that they've got, like working National Forest. And you're stretched pretty thin, and then it's about don't want to work. And it's about all they can do, so it's hard to find somebody to work 2 days a week, no benefits. But I think I can work something there.
Is there money for that courthouse security?
No, the courthouse security fund right now, I got a full-time person working the court, Tim Robbins, now that money that comes in for that,
It takes all of it?
takes all of it. And he don't get paid a lot.
Well, there's 24,000 in it. Courthouse security fund now.
Okay.
That could be used for that, couldn't it?
Yeah, but
Well, I
that'll
understand.
go for his salary. What I'm saying is, he makes about $25,000 a year, and that is not much for a certified law enforcement officer. And I use the money, it comes in full-time for him. But that's what I was trying to find money to get part-time. We're using this concealed weapon permit already for Clayton McDavid 3 days a week, but I believe it'd be enough to handle for 2 more days a week since we don't have to pay benefits out of it. I think we'll be okay.
I think it's, what is it, $10 off of every ticket goes into that courthouse security fund?
Yeah,
That goes for courthouse security?
it does. But the thing about it is, that's enough wages for one person for a year and his benefits. That's what it amounts to, so. They're right now, but they've had it to last, this is 3 years in a row, they've tried to get a bill passed. So we're gonna raise the courthouse security to $20 instead of 10. If we do that, I can add another person full-time, take care of a problem. But they've tried the last 2 years and it's been turned down, so hopefully it'll pass this year.
But for the General Assembly,
Yeah.
We can't do that, Kevin.
I don't think so. I think it's gotta be through the General Assembly. Because they've been trying to get it passed the last 2 years, and they've not got it, because they say that's, the people's voting on it, say that's an extra tax we're putting on the people. If you look at some of the courthouses, some of the courtrooms, the court fees are different in every county in the state. And ours is usually, say, $80, say, for the court cost. You go to Tennessee, it's almost $200 for court cost. But some places it'll vary from $60 to $90 in Virginia. I don't know exactly how that is or why, but it does vary.
Who sets that rate?
I don't know, I mean, it's different amounts for every situation.
I mean, if we're charging different rates for different counties, who sets the rates and how do they go about it?
Bo Taylor would be the one to answer that, I don't know. But I mean, I worked in probably 50 courts in the state of Virginia, and every one of them's different.
Maybe it's set by the county, right?
I don't think so, but it may be a few fees that is $5 or $10 here, but that's like the courthouse security that was voted on. And so they're trying to get it raised and they can't get it raised. So I mean, that's state law on that. Courthouse security and courthouse maintenance, but I think they do have a few things. It is county, but Bo Taylor will be the one to take exactly what each of them are. Well, appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sheriff Buck. All right, we're in citizens' expression. Anyone else?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Mary Murphy. I'm the owner of Golden Guns in Weber City, Virginia. I also live in Weber City, Virginia. I recently emailed Mr. Redwine, and he forwarded my email to the other supervisors, and now you have a face to go with the email. I appreciate you answering, replying so quickly to my email, and I appreciate the fact that you've found the projected time for the construction to be ended on the bridge. I do believe that summer of 2019 is quite ridiculous. There's a couple businesses that have already closed on that stretch of 23, and I am struggling. I also agree with Mr. Redwine that the recession has really hit Scott County, and it's going to take us a while to snap back. I've seen a decline in my business last year, and this year is even worse. I guess I'm here hoping for answers, maybe solutions, maybe options, anything. Because if we don't keep the money coming into Scott County, we're all going to go under. And we don't want the county to dry up and go away. And I think it's ridiculous that Richmond decides where our money for VDOT goes. It's unrealistic. They live in cities and suburbs, and they have no idea that half of Scott County is unpaved roads. We need somebody to be speaking for us in Richmond, loudly. Also, if I'm in trouble, there's other businesses that are in trouble. And I do a lot of volunteer work, a lot of charities, so forth. And, you know, my little business may not seem like much, but I believe that Scott County would fill my loss. I do 95% of my shopping in Scott County for my home and my farm. If I have to go to Kingsport to get a job, that will change. Just because it'll be easier, and I will not fight the freaking traffic on the bridge if I don't have to. Whenever I leave work and go home, because I live on the river, I have to go all the way down to Priceless Foods, do a U-turn, and wait 20 minutes for somebody nice enough to let me to go home. If I have to get a job in Kingsport, I will no longer be going to Food City and doing that circle about. I'll no longer be going to Broadwaters because 9 chances out of 10 I'll be working whenever Broadwaters is open. My little bit of money that I give the county, it will affect the county. I'm working with Penny Horton with the Chamber of Commerce. I have a meeting with Tim Beckler tomorrow from Mountain Empire Small Businesses. If you all have any suggestions, options, comments, I would greatly appreciate it.
I think it's a good route to take it. I mean, I think Tim has helped several small businesses in the past from what I've known, but I don't know what all kind of services he's gonna be able to offer you.
Yeah, I'm afraid it may be too little too late, to be quite honest, but I hate getting upset. I don't like speaking in public, but
It's all right. We're all,
I love Scott County. I love my farm. My farm is my own piece of heaven. I will not lose my farm. I will sacrifice my business to keep my farm, but I will not lose my farm. But something's gotta be done. Something's gotta give. VDOT, why can you not offer a bonus to this construction company who I only see working when the VDOT's doing an inspection? Half the time, they're not working on the bridge. I don't know if you all go down that way. You probably avoid it like the plague, just like everybody else does. But half the time, there's no working. And if there is somebody working, there's only 1 or 2 people. I understand, you know, the cheapest bid, all that. You're talking to somebody who's cut my expenses to the extreme. Something's gonna give. Subway's closed. Johnny's in trouble. Johnny Shoes is in trouble. Burgers R Us. This is tax dollars you all receive, which pays your own salaries. I volunteer for the fire department. If I have to get a job over in Kingsport, I'm not gonna be available. I mean, there's a lot of things that I do for the community, you know, and I'm not here to my own horn. I believe in community service. And I enjoy doing community service. I like being out in the field. I think it would affect more than what you know if 2 or 3 more of us go. And I appreciate any help or suggestions. And thank you for your quick reply. And thank you, Mr. Mann, for coming to my store. It showed me that the board was concerned. Any comments or questions?
I certainly want anyone and everyone here to speak their mind if you wish. I'll begin just by saying that this board and staff certainly feels your pain. That's been a frustrating construction over there for a lot of reasons. We do have, later on in the meeting, just in a little bit, we do have VDOT officials here who may be able to address a few parts of your concerns. What's so unfortunate is that stretch from the red light where you turn down Yuma to the state line is one of the busiest small business areas in the county. Probably, it may be the busiest stretch of property in the whole county for small business. And there's no denying that people are avoiding that area. And if you do go through there, you hesitate to pull off
Exactly.
because you don't know if or when you'll get back out into the stream of traffic. So I can see, you know, how it could affect you. In a month or 2 months or 3 months would be bad enough, but, you know, 2.5 years or whatever it may be till that thing's totally finished is more than some businesses can stand.
Exactly.
And you're not, unfortunately, you're not the only one that I've heard from, like the ones you mentioned. I mean, there's several others that are really suffering. And, you know, as far as what this board can do, you know, we'll do anything we can within our legal abilities to support the business over there and help you all get your voice heard. And we'll just hope that that thing moves as quickly as possible and there's some way that businesses can survive, because it's bad enough with just the economy running businesses out of operation. But when you get something external like this construction, I mean, the whole purpose of the construction is to make it better and enhance business. And in the process of doing it, we're killing several businesses, and that's unfortunate. I just want you to know that we hear you and we feel your pain, and we'll do anything we can. And I'll open it up for anybody else.
I've been down through there and I know exactly what you're talking about. It's hard to get in and out. Like Dr. Redwine, I feel your pain, but we're limited to what we can do. Maybe the VDOT people can give you some idea about what they can do as far as getting people in and out. But I support local business. Anytime I try to spend money, I'll make an effort to spend it in Scott County, and I hope everybody in Scott County does the same thing. I look where I spend money, and I support U.S.-made products. And I don't try to buy out of the country, and I know it's hard to do that. I think if we spend money in our own country and county, that it'll only make us better, financially and economically.
I do the same thing, sir. I get all my feed from Broadwaters. I get my gas from my personal vehicle and from my farm. And my diesel fuel there at Patriotic Fuels. Like I said, 95% of the money I spend is spent in Scott County. You know, and if I have to go to Kingsport for a job, which probably that'll be what'll happen, you know, most of the shops will be closed, you know, by the time I get off, or I'm not gonna fight that traffic after working over there all day. So not only, you know, my little bit will affect more than what, you know, if all of us have to do that, that's not gonna be good.
Mr. Chairman, can I go ahead and approach you just a moment?
Yes, sir. If you have something
All
to
right, okay.
contribute.
I'm Alan Sumter. I'm the residency administrator for WISE, Scott County, Lee County. To be right honest with you, I'm not prepared to be able to answer the questions that you're asking or that you want answered today. Our construction projects are administered by our district construction staff. And I do know, you know, we had the flooding where the crane, you know, tipped over in there, and we had different things. And I really, in many perspectives of it, because it's administered by our construction division, I'm almost like an observer in this, as many of you are. What I would like to offer for you today is if I can get your name and contact information, I'm going to get in contact with our district construction engineer and ask that he contact you to see if he can meet with you or talk with you about your concerns. And that's unfortunately as much as I can offer for this situation today. okay? I apologize that I don't know more, just we kind of are split up in our different divisions, and they take care of that, and so I can't really speak to you about the timeframes or anything that's there, or the contractor, what they're working, or whatever.
Mr. Redwine found out the projected end date in
Yes, I'm aware.
summer of
Yes, I'm
2019, which is
Yeah,
ridiculous.
I'm aware of that. I do know from the engineering perspective of it, it is a very complicated project. When we have projects that are built with that much traffic, they're a challenge to maintain the traffic, and the safety issues, everything are important. But I understand what you're talking about the impact of the business. It is in a very inconvenient spot for a bridge project. But it's been a necessity that it be done. But again, if I can get your name and your Mary Bergen?
Murphy.
Murphy, I'm sorry. And you're the owner of what business, Mary?
Golden Guns.
Golden Guns? Okay. And can you tell me?
1432. US Highway 23.
This one, we're going to put your phone number down instead. Okay. And if you'll give me something to write down, then if after a week passes by and you don't hear something from anybody, I would like for you to contact me back again, and I'll follow up. Uh-oh, lost lead. Sorry. We're 286318, isn't it? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I'll have somebody get in contact with you, okay?
Anything else?
I do want to say one thing.
Go
before she
ahead,
sits
yes,
down.
sir.
I stopped at her business and talked to her, and I wanted to see for myself, and I was so impressed with what she had to tell me. That's why I said, come, I want the whole board to hear you. And I knew that Mr. Sump would be here, Mr. Christensen would be here, but I wanted the whole board to hear you. And so I think it's important that we have things like this before the whole board, and it'll get reported on, and the people here that can make a difference. And the phone calls, I have received phone calls about that, and the one biggest thing is why there's nobody working. We see 2 or 3 people, and there's nothing, you can't tell that there's anything much going on with it. So I don't know why they're dragging their feet. And I know the flood made a difference, the crane going in the river, that really affected things a whole lot. But anyway, I'm glad you came, and you done well with your presentation. I want you to know what you did.
Well, thank you. I want you all to know that whenever it flooded, when the flood came, because of the debris on the bridge and stuff, it flooded my land. You know, way more than it normally had, you know. And, you know, it's been a thorn in my side for a little over a year now, and I guess I've got a couple more years of it. But I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
We all expect those acts of nature, but when you look at, and we're almost a year later, and there's not been very much done down there, it does get frustrating. I think we need to at least bring your case up to EDA, Economic Development Committee that we have, whose job is to attract new business and to retain the business that we have, and see if, you know, there's anything out there that can help businesses like yourself that are trying to stay and have some sort of a circumstance beyond their control. And we'll also talk to Chambers of Commerce and anyone else that we think might be able to get you a little bit of relief. and some help or some advice on where to go to just bridge you through. We don't expect you're going to get wealthy between now and summer of 19, but we'd like you to stay, and we'll help you any way we can.
I would like to stay, if for nothing else, to still be a bigger part in the community that I am, you know.
All right, we'll do our best.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for coming. All right, we are in citizens expression period. Anyone else? Hearing none, we'll close citizens expression. That tugs at the heartstrings. You know, I've been doing this for on and off for 14 or 15 years, and those are the people that just really hit you right to the core when they're here in this little county, in this little corner of the state, just trying to make a life for themselves, and things like that are affecting and affecting all of us. And it's just one of the reasons that I stay in this business, and we all do, and I just think we all need to work together and get out there and see if there's anything we can do to help keep these folks here, because every business that leaves affects a bunch of lives and affects the county. So I appreciate her coming. I know that wasn't easy for her. All right. We move to item 7. Item 7 is an advertised public hearing to amend the Scott County fiscal year 2018 budget. Amendments include appropriations to the Scott County school budget in the amount of $524,590 for funds they received from Title IV, Part A, Student Support and Academic Achievement, 21st Century, Title IV, Part D, $477,987, and School Security Equipment Grant, $23,755, and $22,096 in new funds that have been received in various county departments since July 1st, 2017. So we approve our budget before July the 1st for the year, and when we get large sums of money that we've received that we have to add to the budget, we're required to have a public hearing to amend the budget. So that's why we're here today. Fortunately, these are additions to the budget, various funds received and grants and that type of thing, but it's a good reason to have to amend it. But we are required to have a public hearing, and at this time, if there's anyone here to speak on this particular topic, we will open the public hearing.
I do have one correction. That should be $20,096 in county funds instead of $22,096.
20,000.
096.
All right. Anyone? All right, hearing none, we'll close public hearing. This time, we can open the floor for discussion on any type, or a motion to approve the amendment to the budget for the listed items.
I'll make a motion, we amend the budget as described in item 7.
Mr. Compton makes a motion, we amend the budget as described. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Mann seconds. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Mr. Hood abstains due to his work at the school system. All right. We'll move to item 8. We are pleased to have with us today Mr. Sumter, Mr. Christian from Department of Transportation. They have graciously agreed to be with us for the next few months, one or other of them. And we welcome them here today for any updates on VDOT and any good news you can bring us. We're all about good news today, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
See, I did come back. Okay. It's good to be back. Don't mind being here at all. I'm going to ask Jackie to come up in a minute. He's going to give you a more specific report. I just kind of want to just go over some things in general, and then we, after Jackie talks, then certainly take any questions. We're continuing to work on our regular routine maintenance. Still continue to put a very strong effort into the gravel roads. The patching season is ending for us, so we're trying to get some patching work on secondary roads finished up. Trying to get some brush cut and trees removed and that type of thing. And of course, we're pretty well ready for winter. We have everything in place for there if the snow comes. I did receive the resolution you adopted last month about asking for the flexibility in funds, and I have forwarded that to my boss, the district engineer, and as I understand it, he has forwarded that on up to his bosses in Richmond. I haven't received any feedback regarding that at this time, but I did want to let you know it has been appropriately passed along as was requested to do so. With that, it's okay, I'm going to ask Jackie to come up. He's got some specific things he's going to report to you.
All right, thank you.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, sir.
Just a few specific things. We, as Alan mentioned, our paving, we have contract pavers now working in the Yuma area. We had several roads down there that were basically gone, and they probably wouldn't make it through the winter without the additional paving. So that's making some good progress, and they're under orders to basically keep going until the plant's shut down. And hopefully we'll have all that completed. Our gravel roads, we've put a little more effort into those gravel roads as far as equipment and materials. We were able to get a couple contract graders to also put them out into the county. And I've noticed, got a report from the superintendent this morning that basically they're helping a lot. That's putting about 5 motor graders out in the county. So that's helped us a whole lot. And our road projects we got going on right now, we're currently working on Route 635, Ivy Valley. That's one of our 6-year plan projects. That project's well underway with tree removal. Some earth movement has already taken place, but Darrell and I was out the other day and we went through that area, and I've been down there since. Darrell, they've already, hopefully we're going to eliminate one whole dirt road there when we get complete. It'll be over a mile of road that we're going to be able to build. I'll be getting with Frida shortly. I've already talked to the district. We've had some funds that were left over from our Route 653 project in Hunters Valley. That project is finalized, complete, all bills have been paid, and what we're going to do is transfer those funds over to the Big Ridge project, and we're trying to move this money. Everything's coming in under budget. We're taking our excess funds, moving those funds to other projects, and advancing these projects. So hopefully we'll have 2 advance come springtime on the excess funds. But basically that's what it is. Like Alan said, we are getting ready for snow removal All the materials have been stocked, they're fully stocked, salt, stone. Our trucks have all been through the pre-inspection where they actually put the hoppers and the plows on the trucks. We have mechanics come, they turn them on, they check them, make sure everything's going. All the contractors have been notified, so we're not looking forward to winter, but hopefully we'll be as ready as we can be for it. So, see if you had any questions or concerns.
I got an email yesterday, Jackie, from a lady, and she was talking about Cox's Chapel up in Heritagetv. She wanted to know where it said on the 6-year plan, and if it would be eligible for the rural rustic, potentially, and if it would fall under that program.
I don't know that it's on there right now. I'd have to
Okay.
check and see, and I don't know that it's on our list.
Okay, I couldn't remember either, and I told her I'd get back with her on
I'll check and I'll send you an email, let you know.
it. That's fine. And I will say, I've been on a lot of the back, or the secondary roads that are unpaved down in my district, and they have been being worked a lot more so than past, and with grading and things, and that's helped, especially the potholes and all that kind of stuff. But they still need, several of them still need gravel, and I'll just send you an email list on the ones that I've been on, the sections that need graveling.
Okay.
I'll just send you an email, because there's 5 or 6 roads there.
Okay.
All right.
Very good.
I also got an email from a lady over in Alley Valley, 619, 664 intersection there. Evidently it must be clogging up with debris and water running over the road, and they was concerned about it, especially this winter. More so, I guess with ice or whatever, maybe freezing after it rained or whatever. I just wondered where we stood at that. Have you ever seen anything about it or not?
I'll have to check and see. It seems like there's a work order out there on that, I'm pretty sure.
Thank you.
Anything else?
One other thing, I also got a complaint. I hate to hear complaints, and I know you do too. Got a person that was interested in, the pavement has just been done through Waterloo Gap below Dr. Redwine's there, and they was concerned about, there was gonna be a curve that was taken out down there and some widening of the road, and just after they had paved all that nice pavement down there, and they're concerned about it being torn up after they've got slated to reconstruct that curve there below. I don't know exactly how far it is down Waterloo Gap Road, but they want to widen another road down there, and they was concerned about getting the pavement tore back up. But anyway, I just wanted to let you know.
That project, it's sort of a short project right there at the bridge,
Yeah.
taking that one curve out.
Yeah.
But that project also is in line with the bridge project. You know, they don't want to start that project and get it going until they get some relief on the bridge project, because
Okay, you're saying over here at the bridge at Weber City?
yes.
Right.
So we're looking at, I don't know the exact start date on my calendar. We're kind of separate from construction, but we still try to keep a hand on what's going on out in the field.
Okay.
But when they overlaid that, they're looking at that being up in there a few, possibly a few years before that construction starts.
Right.
So,
Okay. Thank you.
all right.
Thank you for all you do, Jack.
Yeah, thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Thomas. Good to hear from you, and good that you got some of the problems that we hear, I know we don't want to hear them, but a lot of times a lot of people and want to talk about the road specifically. Of course, I mean, if they're the only ones on it, you can imagine that them people only want to hear about it.
Well,
There's a lot more. I know you've got a lot more roads than just what Scott County has got. You've got, what, 4 counties? Wise, Scott, Lee, and Dickinson County?
We have 5,500 miles.
5,500 miles, and I know that's a lot of work on you guys, and we really appreciate you coming down taking us into consideration just a little bit. I know you guys hear a lot.
That's one of my old superintendents used to tell me. He said, the most important road is the road that's in front of your house. So, and we consider that important to all of us. So.
We, the last thing I mentioned, and just to sort of keep it as a priority, but it took us a long time to get the Sign a Highway program working. I mean, it took years, it seems, till we could get that program going so people who worked through the court system would get out and pick up some of this trash. And now it appears to be working really well. And we see orange bags of trash everywhere. And I know there's a lot of it, but if we could somehow stay on top of that and within a reasonable amount of time get those picked up, I'd hate to see them scatter and go back where they came from. I know that's job security for those people, but we'd like to get it picked up and put away. But if someone could touch that every so often, that would really help us.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we move to item 9. This is a request, I think, that was sent down to Ms. Starnes, and I'll turn item 9 over to her.
Our agreement with obtaining confidential unemployment compensation information with the VEC is set to expire on December 31st. This is an agreement that we entered into earlier this year at John Rife's request so that he would be able to use that information to help with delinquent tax collection. So I just need authority, if you're in agreement, to renew this agreement. And the fee will increase from $400 per file from $100 to $400 per file. And I've talked to Mr. Rife, and when he does use the service, he will cover that charge. So it's no additional charge to the county to use this. They just have to have an updated agreement if we want to continue to allow that file transfer to the Virginia Employment Commission. And so far to this point, it's not been utilized at all.
So will you need a motion to make, to renew this?
To renew the agreement.
I'll make a motion that we renew this agreement.
All right. Mr. Compton makes that motion that we answer this request by renewing the agreement that we have in place already. Do I have a second?
I'll say.
Mr. Hood, seconds. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. We have that in place. We move to item 10, the resolution that you've been provided with regards to state funding from the General Assembly for Virginia State Parks. The resolution has a lot of information in it with regards to the number of visitors that have visited our state parks, the amount of revenue that has been generated by those folks through tourism, and the kind of money that it takes from the state of Virginia to keep parks operating. We have several state parks in our end of the state that attract people, and certainly Natural Tunnel in the county that bring people in and help us keep our economy going. And the resolution is to ask the state legislature to fund fully the Virginia State Park system. Other comments? Anyone who wishes to talk about this before we take action?
That new designation for the Clinch River state park, where is it at now? I mean, what does it consist of as far as the state park itself?
Pam, do you know the status of that?
We have a meeting today in City Hall, and they're still in the process of negotiating with property owners, and but anything that occurs with the state park, I mean, that is a purchase agreement between approved property owners. It will not impact nor affect any other property owners. The goal of the state park is to enhance fishing and recreational opportunities for everyone within the Clinch River Valley District. So, I mean, the goal is to make it, you know, it won't affect the ability of a private property owner. If that's your question.
I mean, is it a park already?
No. The funding, they received partial funding, but it has not been developed at this point right now. And it's really totally separate from Natural Tunnel State Park.
Oh, you mean, it's not it's not a park yet, but this resolution would support.
It fully supports the funding for Natural Tunnel State
For
Park.
the natural tunnel and
State parks. And state parks in general.
This came up about 3 years ago, and the verbiage in that said that the farming, adjoining farms to that, if it becomes a state park, would be affected. And I know there's some of the farming areas that's actually pulling water for irrigation. And the only concern I had about that, if somewhere down the road, it's not in there now, so I might interpret that meaning that you cannot take water from that river for irrigation. If that happened, it'd be devastating to some of the farming communities. And it's in there now that they can do that. But
I think they would have to specifically mention it that way. I think it would.
well, it was mentioned in there that they can still do that, but the concern I have is somewhere down the road, somebody will say, well, the intent, you know, if it's a state park river designation, and so, I mean, I support this, I do, I think it's okay, but in the wording that was in there before, that was a concern that, and David Mann in particular, where that, you know, where he actually uses that water for irrigation.
Yeah.
And would there be somebody somewhere down the road, maybe some judge said, well, the intent was that you can't use that for that purpose. And so if it stays as is, he can still do what he's doing. But I'm hoping somewhere down there, you know, years from now, somebody says, well, the intent was that you can't use that for that kind of use. And so that would be my concern about that becoming a state park. I think it's a good idea. I think it would pull people, it would pull industry, it would pull people coming in for tourism purposes, but hopefully that verbiage will stay in there like it was originally done to allow these people to use that for the purpose of irrigation.
Well,
If you remember, one more thing, back a few years ago, even before I've come on this board, that they wouldn't have put a freshwater intake in it for people to use water out of it because of the mussel concern.
right.
And so, I mean, where did that come from? That's how sometimes extreme it can get, where you can't even pull water out for you know, to put a fresh water, you know,
Well,
intake.
that was Army Corps of Engineers plan.
Yeah, right.
So,
well, Army Corps of Engineers takes care of all water. And if it don't go through them, it don't go anywhere.
well, the Tennessee part, we're kind of getting on different subjects, but the Tennessee part of the Army Corps of Engineers approved it. The Virginia part would not.
The only other concern I have is with the state park I don't know where it stands as guidelines towards harvesting, shooting fish in the rivers, and Clinch River specifically. Like I said, I've stated this before, that it's the only county that I know of in the lower 48 that allow us to shoot sucker type fish, and I wouldn't want to see that damaged in any way. That's specific. I mean, it's specifics to Scott County.
Right. And I've not seen anything that has any discussion about anything like that for Scott County.
Mr. Compton, there seemed to be a little confusion about
Yeah.
what the designation of state park would mean on the clinch. The idea is not making the Clinch River a state park. It would be land adjacent to the river
Itself.
along the state park. It's a concept they call a linear state park that would travel from in Tazewell County down to Fort Blackmore with waypoints that may or may not be owned by the state and designated as state park. One of them being Dungannon. But the river itself would still be what it is today. And owners along the river that own private land would still have the same right to the river that they do now.
Here is what, we got some clarification from Sharon Ewing, who is over state parks in this area, and she said all public waterways and fishing are regulated by the Department of Game and Inland Fisheries, not state parks. Therefore, the establishment of a new state park does not affect DGIF regulations. And it says, the boat launches are being established in cooperation with willing landowners and existing publicly owned properties. Those are the only properties affected or in consideration. All other lands along the river will continue to be privately owned and utilized by the property owner. Do y'all need a copy of
I
this?
forwarded that to him.
Oh, okay.
I'd like to have
No, sorry, I pulled this off the paper today.
this is from who?
Sharon Ewing, and Sharon is,
This District 6 Supervisor. Man, this
Yes,
is
ma'am.
Joan
Yes, please.
Short, she's with Coverage Foundation. Good morning. My name is Joan Short, and I am a member of the Coverage Foundation Board. I've also been a volunteer at Natural Tunnel for the last 10 years. And I think that most of the concerns I'm hearing this morning, which I have heard from other people, really fall not to state parks, but to the Division of Game and Department of Game and Inland Fisheries. They are the ones who would make any decisions concerning, or who do make any decision concerning fishing and the way it is done in the Clinch River and in every other river in Virginia. And state parks is a separate department and cannot override any of the policies or laws that the Department of Inland Game and Fisheries has put in effect. So the state park state park system always has to abide by the laws that the Department of Game and Inland Fisheries does. So really, the resolution we have put before you, the foundation approved this resolution on Monday, is to ask for funding to be supported for state parks. And the questions that are being raised really are questions that go to a totally different department. Should the Clinch River State Park finally happen, as has just been stated, it would not affect the river right now as it's being used. It is for the property, as you have said, that is adjacent to the river. So I'm not a member of that department, and obviously I can't tell you what all the laws are, but we certainly could make sure that you're in touch with anyone from that department. It could clarify your questions and your concerns. But this resolution has to do with the funding of state parks in the coming years. So it is not in any way involved with the use of the river or with fishing. As a matter of fact, Virginia State Parks loves fishing, and they would not want any of those laws to change, nor would they try to change them. They are as subject to the laws of the Department of Game and Inland Fisheries as any regular citizen would be. So they have to work with them.
I'd like to get a little more information, especially with the Virginia, the Game and Inland Fisheries Department, to find out if it would harm or before we took a vote to support this right now.
Let me say something back, I forget how long ago, but we come before this board about a designation as a scenic river, and we didn't take action on it. And so I keep trying, you can't see down the road what might happen. And we didn't take action. Here's my feelings on it. I think that the government gets in control of it, then they're going to say, well, back to what I said about the intent. Now, sure, the river is not the state park the adjoining land is, but the intent, somebody down the road will say, well, you can only use it for recreational use only. And that's why it goes back to what Mr. Hood here said about, who made the decision. You can't have a freshwater outtake for human consumption because of the mussels. So these designations, I think, can be used for the wrong reason. Because I said, well, it's intended for recreational use only. The scenic river designation, Russell County done it, they wanted us to do it, and we didn't. I think you've got to be careful about giving too much, and the state park, I support the resolution, so you know where I stand on this. But the concern I have is somewhere down the road, somebody will say with the intent. Even the scenic river designation, what's that going to do to make it any better? Nothing. It just gives, I'm afraid it'll give an entity more power to regulate what can and cannot be done with it. I'm sure, though, they encourage kayaking and fishing, they do that, they encourage that. But down the road somewhere, will that be used for a purpose not intended by this board? So, but I do support this resolution, and if we delay it, like Mr. Compton said, that's fine too. But I think this is a good thing. But I'm hoping that it don't get turned around and construed to think that, well, the intent. And so the scenic river thing, the state park thing, I'm going to be careful, I really do. But the state park thing, I do support that.
Would it make any difference if we waited like a month to find out some information and brought this back up next month, maybe?
I'm not sure. I'm sure they need as much affirmation as they can get, as soon as they can get it. Once more, I would just like to say that I do not think there's any connection between your concerns about the future, which I really understand from both of you, and this resolution, which supports state park funding across the state. The state park would not be the ones who would be changing any policies along the river. That would be the Department of Game and Inland Fisheries, and it has nothing to do with this resolution. So while I hear and deeply understand your concern, this resolution is simply an affirmation to the legislature that you would like to support continuing full funding for Virginia's state parks. And if there is any change along that river, it will not be because of state parks. It will be. And so to not to affirm it just suggests that there might be misunderstanding there, that the state parks would have authority over what happens in that river or with that river, when your concerns are a totally separate concern, as I'm hearing them, for the division or the Department of Game and Inland Fisheries. And it's hard to, and I understand that you have to look ahead based on what your experience has been in the past. I think Patrick Henry said that that's a lamp that we have to use in the future is what happens to us in the past. So I certainly understand the concern. It's just that it does not, a vote to support this is a vote to support funding for Virginia's state park system as it stands now. And the future park is still in planning stages, of course, and that would, I'm sure, will come up in a later budget. But this is to support state parks right now.
Well, let me just, my thoughts on this. If there was ever, say, a lawsuit from an environmental group saying, you know, we need to stop any intake, and they could use this as leverage to say, well, this is what the board put in place back in 2017, designated either for a scenic river or a state park, and could they use that as leverage, and you could find somebody who said, well, that was the intent, and that's my concern, because you have that happens all the time, that they have to have something, some ammo to use to say, well, this was their intent back in 2017, and so even, we didn't do the scenic river designation, but the state park thing, and again, I support it, but, you know, we gotta be careful, especially the verbiage in this, and I seen it in the previous, when they were trying to get the state park in there back a few years ago, and it was in there that it wouldn't affect farming. I don't remember the exact wording of it, but it was in there that it would not impact farming. But then I would have never thought that you couldn't put a freshwater takeout at Spears Ferry, and they stopped that because that was intent back before I was on this board, but it happened. You know, you can't get water out of that river because of the mussel impact, and so. Again, I know what it took when Dan Danko was on the PSA, what it took to get across the river, and it was phenomenal. What it took 6 years and $160,000 just in permits and studies just to do that. The project was $134,000, but to fight all this environmental concern, and he said he saved 9 mussels, $160,000. And the EPA come, the Army Corps of Engineers come, Fish and Wildlife people came, and he said it's just a circus. And it was unbelievable what they had to go through. So that's my concern about any designation can be used as leverage for someone to say, well, you can't do farming around anymore because of the fertilizer you're using or because of the water intake you're taking. And so, and we're not smart enough here to look down the road and see how this will be used. We don't know.
And I'm certainly not smart enough to be able to answer those concerns.
Right.
My concern is the funding for state parks.
I support them. I do support it.
No, I understand that, and I just, I'm sure that when all of that was going on, the state parks had nothing to do with it.
Right, it did.
Right.
We're trying to get a little bit of history here. And one thing too, this probably needs to be approved today. The reason being, Jack, is because the legislature will be in session pretty quick, and so I don't know if we have time to delay it. You know, so they'll be back in
That was
session.
part of it, was to put it on the VACO
Yeah.
legislature.
Yeah, it probably will be done today.
The Natural Tunnel reported that they had 120,000 visitors last year.
200. It was more than that.
It was tremendous.
They collected over $2 million.
Yeah, 236,000.
And those people are shopping in Duffield and,
Yeah.
and I would also like to mention one other thing that I don't think is mentioned. We are completing, when I say we, I take off one hat to put on another one. I'm on the new Daniel Boone Wilderness Trail Interpretive Center Board, and that is almost completed in Duffield, and it will be an extension. It's a EDA project, obviously, but it will be an extension of Natural Tunnel State Park after it is completed. And we're very excited about the potential for economic impact and also tourism to our area. And if you haven't seen that center, I really hope you'll go up and visit it. It's now, the roads are paved up to the parking lots, and it's a beautiful new addition to Scott County tourism and economy, and also history, which happens to be my interest in it. And it is an incredible view, sitting right across the front door sits right across from Cane Gap, which is such a historical spot. And so we're also very excited about that and what that will mean, we hope, beginning next spring for the economy and the tourism in Scott County. So thank you. I didn't mean to take this long. And I'm sorry I can't answer the river questions because, as I said, that is not state park. I see that you see a connection when you have a Clinch River State Park that is being planned, but it is, as we have said, the land along the river, and we are not aware as state parks. And I sound as if I'm Craig Seaver, and I'm not. He'd probably be banging his head against the wall if he heard me saying we. But I am a very enthusiastic volunteer for Virginia State Parks. And just our Christmas lightings that we're having now, I had 500 come through the little Carter cabin that's at the bottom of the chairlift. And those people who are coming for that are buying gas in Scott County, they're eating in Scott County, and so I'm very proud of Natural Tunnel State Park. I do think it's one of Virginia's best kept secrets, and I thank you for your time and listening to that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make one clarification for everybody that's listening. When she says the river along, or the land along the Clinch River, she don't mean all of it. It'll be certain pieces of property that will be waypoints along the river.
Yes,
That
I'm
will be
sorry, I
designated.
didn't state that well.
That will be the state park. So anybody that owns land on the river, the state's not going to take their land and make a state park out of it. Just get that clarified.
I'll make a motion, we approve this resolution as presented.
All right, before we do that, and I'll keep your motion on the table. Mr. Addington, did you want to speak today?
Well, I feel like I'm just piling on.
That's okay. You're here and we want you to be a part.